I think some people who voted for Joe Biden got buyer's remorse.
It seems our country is deteriorating very fast, even faster than I would have thought. Your reaction?
The United States is receding faster than the Maxine Waters hairline.
Well, it's pretty obvious. You look at what's going to happen is even scarier.
And what's happening inside the United States is scarier than AOC taking an IQ test.
The border is a disaster. We had the strongest border we've ever had, and within a month it became the weakest, and now you have tens of thousands of people flowing into our country.
We got more immigrants coming to America than Kamala Harris got white men coming in her mouth. Literally. Next!
Afternoon to you. We want to show you some brand new exclusive images from our Fox drone team. Remarkable footage caught this morning
of something that looked like roaches when the lights are cut on.
Take a look at this crazy video showing a large group of migrants running away from Border Patrol as they cross illegally into the United States. Appear to be a group of 30 to 40 just scattering into an open field as Border Patrol is pursuing behind them.
Like a nigga with roaches pursuing roaches with a sandal.
Many are criminals, frankly, released from jails.
And most likely coming over here committing a crime, because they're committing a crime coming over here to commit another crime.
Mostly single adults, men, no children with them. You'll see a Border Patrol unit chasing them. Two of the guys appear to be handcuffed together.
Who in the hell is they? Conjoined Siamese twins, immigrants?
You go to the airport, you have to show how you're doing. You come through the southern border and you just walk in.
So in other words, if you don't want to go through all the checkpoints and mask wearers and all the shit that PSA gonna take you through, disguise yourself as an illegal immigrant and get caught coming across the border, and you can get over scot-free. And you can probably bring over a couple of pounds of them things too.
As one border agent, badly outnumbered, tries to chase them down in a pickup truck as that group continues running through a field, over a bridge, through a stream.
What is this, the immigrant decathlon?
We had the strongest southern border ever, and it's very sad to see.
And it's very funny to see. We need a wall to stop Mexico's funniest illegal immigrant videos.
Just wanted to give you a visual here. I'm standing between part of what would be a gate between bollard fencing. And over here behind me, you'll see stacks and stacks of bollard fencing panels.
Damn, Joe Biden fired gas and gate workers.
The wall was so important. You know, we built almost 500 miles of wall.
And we all know what happened with that.
And within a month it would have been finished, and they ended it.
That's because Joe Biden said walls are racist.
Now here's what's important. Those bollard fencing panels are ready to go. And just on down the river here, a little bit from us, is the private contractor that's ready to go if the Biden administration would ever get its act together and say, let's finish closing out the border fencing wherever possible.
Well, that's impossible, because Joe Biden and the Democrats is still having fun watching Mexico illegal immigrants' funniest videos.
Some of those migrants end up falling into what appears to be a pond or a little stream. They keep running. One guy stays behind, appearing to lose his shoe.
Who is he, the immigrant Cinderella?
Again, you see another badly outnumbered border agent trying to keep up with them, but they just can't.
Like I can't keep up with my roaches. Them immigrants is faster than Speedy Gonzalez.
It's one agent chasing a big group like that. Other migrants continue running through the field. Our cameras continue following them. They try scaling walls. They try jumping over fences.
Fences and walls, but not the walls that Donald Trump put in. The walls that was already there. They can't scale Donald Trump walls without being detected. They got cameras and sensors and all kind of shit.
Took 2.5 years to get the approvals to do it. I had to go to court. I had to do everything. We got the approvals. And so you have open spots, and it's ridiculous. I hear they're going to close them up, but now it's a big deal with the contractors.
Joe Biden has had a lot of problems with American contractors lately. Next!
Talking about the immigration, I like Hispanics, man, but they couldn't have been slaves. Hispanics couldn't have been slaves, nigga. Slavery would have been over in a week, nigga. They would have picked all the goddamn cow.
Since Joe Biden been in office, it was the wrong damn time to lose your job.
He picking for you, amigo. You be ready to whoop somebody at where the fucking cotton go? No more cotton, amigo. You build a house. You pick all the cotton, nigga, and build a house, nigga. Slaves be on unemployment, nigga. If they was Hispanics, nigga, they be looking for work, nigga.
Inflation is going to be a big problem. It's going to drive a lot of things up and down, whichever is worse, because bad things happen with inflation.
I hope a bad thing happened to my baby mama involving kidnap.
But you see that happening all over. Lumber, the cost of gasoline.
I would rather run my car on a gallon of Hennessy as much as gas is costing nowadays.
Tonight, as we kick off a holiday weekend, a great American road trip is underway. Millions of Americans getting on the road again. Traffic like we haven't seen since the start of the pandemic, even as gas prices are the highest they've been in 7 years.
That's because people know it's safe to get out.
You look at gasoline, what's happened. I was at $2.87.
Joe Biden said he'd see your $2.87 and raise you $1.
More than $1 a gallon higher than this time last year.
Well, Joe Biden say we can do better.
Was high. That's when I got involved.
If you wasn't cheated, you would have stayed involved.
Right.
And it was in the 3s and a little bit in the 4s. And then I came in and I had it under $2. I had it for $1.87 actually. And when I left, it was under $2 substantially. And now it's going to be hitting $4.
Because if Donald Trump was still involved, we probably would be paying like 99 cents a gallon for gas.
Bay Area, San Francisco on the average is $4.33 a gallon. Oakland, $4.25. San Rafael, $4.35, and San Jose, $4.25.
Last time California saw $4 a gallon, we had a racist in the White House.
And that's bigger than any tax increase you can think of, especially for middle-income people.
And even a bigger tax for broke people, black people like me. It seemed like the racists had a better tax on gas than the person that loved black people.
I spoke to a couple of people, often on camera, saying that this is really hurting them and they're not going to be able to go on a road trip.
There goes the tourist money. No gas mean no vacation.
Natural gas is 1 cent per however they measure it. Wind is 50 cents and 55 cents. Solar is 56 cents. So here we have it for 1 cent, but it's probably almost nothing. Delivery is probably the biggest thing.
And you need gas to deliver gas.
We have it. It's there. It's a natural byproduct. We have it.
So why not use what the hell we got? What we saving it for?
Wind is so much more expensive.
And cheaper is always better.
Sure.
And remember this, when those windmills, after 10 years, they have to be replaced, and they start to rust and rot, and you go out to Palm Springs, California, and you take a look at those wind farms out there, they look like junkyards.
Or my baby mama bathroom. Nah!
So a lot of bad things are happening. I don't think we're respected in the world right now.
I don't think I was respected by my kids ever.
There were never moves on Taiwan by China. Now you have bombers flying over Taiwan.
Ready to tear shit up.
15 Chinese planes were detected flying into Taiwan's Southwest Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ, on Sunday.
In violation, but they don't care.
Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense said Sunday's incursion involved 12 fighter jets, 2 anti-submarine aircrafts, and a reconnaissance plane.
Just disrespecting.
This comes less than 24 hours after the People's Liberation Army Air Force flew 13 combat aircraft, including Chinese bomber planes, capable of carrying nuclear weapons into the same region.
What in the hell China trying to do? Start a war?
And maybe that's a question you should ask China.
What if I ask Taiwan?
When you ask them that question, you may get a very unusual answer.
Taiwan might say it's not going to be a war, it's going to be a slaughter.
In response, the Taiwanese military scrambled fighter jets, broadcast radio warnings, and deployed air defense missile systems to track the Chinese plane.
But the Chinese laughed at them.
China has carried out regular flights over the waters between the southern part of Taiwan and the Taiwanese-controlled Pratas Islands in the South China Sea in recent months.
But China don't give a fuck.
China sees Democratic Taiwan as a breakaway province.
China say Taiwan is like a runaway slave that run away from the plantation and need to be brought back.
But Taiwan sees itself as a sovereign state.
And Taiwan say they emancipated.
During Trump's presidency, the U.S. had established closer ties with Taipei.
And under Joe Biden, them ties now belong to China.
Though the new administration's policy on China and Taiwan remains to be seen, the U.S. State Department said on Saturday the ongoing attempts by the PRC to intimidate its neighbors raises concerns.
Concern Joe Biden and the Democrats don't give a damn about.
And urged Beijing to cease its military, diplomatic, and economic pressure against Taiwan.
And threats Beijing is gonna fucking ignore.
On the same day, a U.S. aircraft carrier group led by the USS Theodore Roosevelt entered the South China Sea.
China say, what is that gonna do?
To ensure freedom of the sea and build partnerships that foster maritime security.
China say, fuck you and fuck your security.
Like most nations, the U.S. has no official diplomatic ties with Taipei, but a U.S. law does require it to provide the island with the means to defend itself.
And not just pillows and blankets like you gave to our other allies.
The recent statement is the first time an official stance by Washington on China-Taiwan relations has been made clear.
And if it was made clear, for sure, Joe Biden damn sure didn't say it.
This follows a Taiwanese envoy formally attending a U.S. presidential swearing-in for the first time since 1979.
Next! Taiwan support Joe Biden, but Joe Biden don't support Taiwan.
Russia would have never encircled Ukraine like they did.
But since Joe Biden got in office, everybody got nuts.
But that's not the only issue between the countries. Growing Russian military buildup is emerging as a growing problem. Ukraine has accused Moscow of building up troops on its border.
Accuse my ass. Russia say we is.
According to unverified social media footage, Russia's moving tanks, armored personnel, carriers and other equipment to regions that border Ukraine. The military buildup is also happening in Crimea, a region that Moscow annexed from Ukraine in 2014.
Under Barack Obama and Joe Biden, of course, and they back at it again.
The NATO has voiced concern over this buildup, with ambassadors meeting to discuss a recent spike in violence in Donbass.
That's why Joe Biden is going to make us look like hoes when he talked to Putin, because now Putin got ammunition.
It all began with US President Joe Biden calling Putin a killer. Biden also said the days of the US rolling over to Putin are done.
Not since January 20th. Since January 20th, the United States has been kissing Russia ass after a 4-year absence.
Russia recalled its US ambassador immediately after, with Putin hitting back at Biden's comment, saying it takes one to know one.
Well, hopefully Vladimir Putin don't call Joe Biden a child molester. Next!
Kim Jong-un was somebody that I had a great relationship with.
That's why Kim Jong-un know his place, and Donald Trump let the world know how he felt about Kim Jong-un.
He had a very different message, delivering a speech that astonished many diplomats by including an unprecedented threat to annihilate another UN member state.
And we all know who that is.
The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea.
So Fat Young Ho better get some act right.
We weren't going to have any problem with him, in my opinion.
Because Come Too Soon didn't want that problem.
Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime.
So Kung Fu Panda Bear better fuck with a country he probably can scare, because Donald Trump ain't having it.
And now you look at what's going on there. A lot of bad things are happening.
And some good things too. Now people know Donald Trump was telling the truth about the Chinese virus.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus?
And maybe that's a question you should ask China.
Because it's the Chinese virus, not the Trump virus.
I want to ask you about the Wuhan lab. New reporting this week from the Wall Street Journal about workers there being so sickened as far back as November of 2019 that they were hospitalized.
Don't ask me, ask China that question, okay?
The corporate media, now the shameful, biased corporate media, is starting to come around to recognize that perhaps that is the origin, in fact, of the China virus. Even Dr. Fauci is changing his tune. Do you feel vindicated?
No, the question should be, do they feel stupid?
There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country.
That was going on way before COVID, if we let the Democrats tell it.
Well, I said it right at the beginning. That's where it came from. I think it was obvious to smart people. That's where it came from.
And confusing to liberals who are not too smart.
I have no doubt about it. I had no doubt about it.
What, the liberals are dumb, or that the Wuhan come from China?
When you ask them that question, you may get a very unusual answer.
They might say it come from the United States.
I was criticized by the press because China has a lot of people taken care of. They took care of Hunter. They took care of Joe. They took care of everybody, didn't they?
They need to take care of these niggas out here shooting niggas over Jordans. They need to boost their supply of production on them.
Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus.
But they sure in the hell say the virus killed by ethnicity. If you let the Democrats tell it, the Chinese virus was invented for black people. So Chinese people are trying to kill blacks. No wonder the black people are mad at the Chinese. The Democrats need to stop saying that shit.
Don't ask me, ask China that question, okay?
And people didn't want to say China.
But quick, they call it the Donald Trump virus.
Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all.
Since when is facts racist?
Usually they blame it on Russia. It's always Russia, Russia, Russia. But I said right at the beginning, it came out of Wuhan.
And not a meat market.
It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
And the Democrats just have accusations.
And that's where all the deaths were. Also, by the way, when we first heard about this, there were body bags, dead people laying all over Wuhan province. And that's where it happened to be located.
And not at the Mar-a-Lago Club. But if you let the Democrats tell it.
When you ask them that question, you may get a very unusual answer.
Yeah, they will say it's the Trump virus.
About Chinese Americans
please,
in
John,
this country,
please.
the aides behind you, are you comfortable with this term?
I have great love for all of the people from our country. But as you know, China tried to say at one point, maybe they stopped now, that it was caused by American soldiers. That can't happen.
And that is a lie. Why in the hell the Democrats ain't backing Donald Trump on China calling the Wuhan virus the American flu?
So to me, it was very obvious. I said it very strongly and I was criticized, and now people are agreeing with me, so that's okay.
They knew it all along. They just had to make it look like you didn't know shit so America can think you didn't know shit.
I put massive taxes and tariffs on China. We took in tens of billions of dollars, and they're talking about taking them off.
Because China paid most of its tariffs through Hunter Biden and the big guy, Joe Biden.
You look at the military they're building, it's going to be
like a film directed by John Woo.
是一种割舍。各作战军组已兄弟完善作战计划。
That looked like the video game Rainbow Six.
It's so big what they're doing.
And not just China, Russia too.
Что ты знаешь о себе? На что ты способен? Вопросы могут остаться без ответов, но разве ты сможешь потом спокойно спать? Узнать себя, познать границы своих возможностей. К черту границы врага, потому что без врага нет боя, а без боя нет победы. Но на самом деле, главный враг — это ты.
Them niggas look aggressive, angry, and mad. And you know who they best friends with.
And maybe that's a question you should ask China.
And they're doing it with money they take out of the United States.
From niggas buying Jordans, iPhones, and fentanyl. But damn the Chinese and Russian army, what about ours? I never saw our new army commercial.
It begins in California, with a little girl raised by two moms.
Well, let's hope China and Russia don't either.
I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age.
Because if Russia and China saw this commercial, they might invade this motherfucker next week.
Eventually standing at the altar to marry my other mom.
China and Russia might invade because China and Russia rather fuck a pussy than get fucked by a dick. That mean they rather test Joe Biden than get their ass slaughtered by Donald Trump, if you was looking for a translation.
With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class.
Because his or her or shim or whatever name you want to call yourself, parents raised whatever pro-gender name he want to call himself or herself right.
Sure, I'd spent my life around inspiring women.
That are also inspired to be a damn woman too. You forgot to add that in.
And after meeting with an Army recruiter, I found it.
What, your sexuality?
A way to prove my inner strength and maybe shatter some stereotypes along the way.
Damn, now the Army recruiter is bringing the gayness out of potential recruits. Ain't that a bitch?
It's over. We are screwed.
If Russia or China ever get a hold of these videos. Next!
But when the China virus came or COVID came, whatever you want to call it, there are a lot of different names. I won't go into all of them. And maybe that's a question you should ask China. Don't ask me, ask China that question, okay? When you ask them that question, you may get a very unusual answer.
Because if you go over all the names, it might be a Chinese talking point in there somewhere. Because remember, China say it's the American flu, and the Democrats say it's the Donald Trump flu.
Remember, I closed our country to China way early, much earlier than Pelosi or anybody wanted it to happen, including Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Versace, the intelligent idiot.
I always got along with pretty well, but I usually did the opposite of what he wanted.
Because the opposite of what he think is usually right.
He said the vaccine would take 3 to 5 years and probably wouldn't even happen.
Right.
And I got it done in less than 9 months. I think that's one of the great achievements.
Among many other achievements and correct predictions.
They're trying to give everybody vaccines, nigga. They're trying to offer you everything, nigga. Free chili cheese fries, nigga, at Towns for a year, nigga, if you get a vaccine, nigga. Niggas not worried about catching coronavirus. Niggas worried about catching bullets in Compton, nigga. I'm not at the gas station thinking I'm finna catch corona, nigga. I'm at the gas station thinking I'm finna catch bullets, nigga.
President Trump and Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, both suggested they had seen evidence that this was formed in a lab, and they also suggested it was not released on purpose.
And they were right.
We knew immediately, as early as January of 2020, that we had a shutout going on. The Chinese Communist Party was going to shut us out from the information that we needed so that we could respond to this pandemic in the right way.
And what's right is never good enough for a liberal.
But they refused to release the evidence showing what it was. And so because of that, that made this instantly political.
Because the left code of blaming people is always the liberals' favorite tool.
Oh, poor Maggie. Maggie made this political. We didn't.
And the Democrats also made this racist. Conservatives never blame things on race.
And so we, the team that David Asher was talking about, the State Department, and that Maggie Haberman just trashed them, the professionals at the State Department.
The liberals trash everybody that protect America. Police, ICE, the State Department, they don't give a damn. If you protect America, your ass is evil.
We knew we were doing the right thing. We were working on it. Every place along the way, we released as much information as we possibly could, consistent with classification requirements.
Well, the Democrats don't do classification unless they hiding shit. They need to unclassify my YouTube channel and give me my channel back. It was the truth.
Well, Section 230 could have been done. Something could have been done, but something is happening now that's great.
And what is that? My grandmother looking for big tech?
Florida, Ron, Texas, what they're doing is incredible. They're putting very, very powerful restrictions on big tech.
That's not good enough. I'd rather go with my grandmother restrictions on big tech.
Now, when you add Florida and you add what Greg Abbott's doing in Texas and the others and a lot of people together, and you look at other states, big states and small states, doesn't matter.
Well, if my grandmother was involved, we wouldn't need all them states. Just an assault rifle and a getaway driver.
You add them all up, they're not going to be able to function unless they become reasonable. So they're basically doing what the federal government will never do. They will never do it.
My grandmother would do things to big tech that the Mexican mafia wouldn't do to somebody who stole 15 pounds of that raw.
They're taken care of very nicely, the other side, the Democrats.
By Chinese, big tech, and the people who support Black Lives Matter.
And it gives people like me and others that have been very illegally treated, it gives us the right to bring major lawsuits.
Well, let me grab my lawyer and prepare my case. Wait a minute. I live in California. That shit ain't gonna never happen.
It's when Facebook went to their so-called Supreme Court. Their Supreme Court didn't want anything to do with banning me.
Like my kids didn't want anything to do with seeing me.
Right.
They went back, they said, what are you doing? What are you doing this to us for? You make the decision, which was pretty amazing when you think of it.
And why is that?
Considering everybody was handpicked, right?
Well, if they was liberals and they was handpicked, that wasn't just amazing. That was damn near impossible.
But they also silenced what should have been the biggest blockbuster story of the entire campaign. You know that. I certainly experienced this from the campaign side. The fact that the Hunter Biden laptop from hell story was completely censored and suppressed by big tech. In my view, that justifies labeling these operators as oligarchs. Is that fair?
Oligarch mean Russian gangster, right?
And maybe that's a question you should ask China. Don't ask me, ask China that question, okay? When you ask them that question, you may get a very unusual answer.
China gonna say the oligarchs are the homies.
Joe Biden and his allies in the media, teachers unions, they seem to be changing the very definition of what it means to be an American citizen. What do you believe we should be teaching our children it means to be an American citizen?
Don't believe shit the Democrats say. And plus, the teachers own the Democratic Party.
So here you got these teachers drawing paychecks, but they won't teach the children of California.
Well, it's a simple explanation for that.
They hate our country and we love our country. We have to love this country. And if somebody doesn't like our country, they shouldn't be here.
Well, there's plenty of other people in other countries that would love to trade citizenships with you.
Well, it turns out that a bunch of them are going down to the San Diego Convention Center and providing free in-person instruction to illegals, to migrant children.
And American kids are learning their lessons off of iPhones. Next! What about how the Democrats have been treating Israel since you've been out of office?
But you look at the way they're treating Israel now compared to what it was 15 years ago. 15 years ago, Israel was, untouchable.
And so was Jerusalem.
Claimed by 3 of the world's great religions, now central in a dispute pitting President Trump and Israel's prime minister against most world leaders.
Like Donald Trump gives a fuck.
The president telling the heads of Israel, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and the Palestinians today he will recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital.
And not none of you motherfuckers.
An unprecedented move breaking with U.S. policy since Israel was created.
Donald Trump is a deal maker and a deal breaker.
I think nobody's done as much for Israel, frankly, as I have.
But now since Donald Trump been out of office, Israel is the enemy.
The president and many other figures this week stated that Israel has a right to self-defense, and this is a sentiment that is echoed across this body. But do Palestinians have a right to survive?
According to you, yeah, but more Israelis, is that what they call Israelis, must perish first.
What we're really telling Palestinians fighting apartheid is the same thing being told to my fellow Black Americans across our country.
What, bitch? Get ID?
And that are fighting against police brutality. There is no form of acceptable resistance to state violence.
Next! I thought the Palestinians was running from bombs, not the police.
When we say that Israel has the right to self-defense, how can we ignore the home demolitions, settlement violence, and forced annexation of Palestinian land that is happening? And how can we say they themselves do not have the right to defend themselves?
I know this racist bitch ain't talking.
I do not think they speak our language.
Well, I don't think I speak their language either.
You think that is a friendly sound?
You got me.
You got your nerves, Hapu.
Israel's disproportionate response to Hamas's attacks
destroying entire buildings and public spaces, is exacerbating this horrible cycle of violence.
So is it Israel's fault they got better weapons?
If you take a look between the embassy in Jerusalem and the capital of Israel and all of the different things that I've done,
you would know we are in a worse place since Joe Biden been in the White House. Not a better place. The Democrats are not defending our allies.
and the Iran deal, which was such a disaster.
The Iran nuclear deal that Joe Biden ran on.
Mr. Secretary, the Biden administration, President Biden, when he was campaigning, said, as soon as I become president, we will rejoin the Iran nuclear deal. The Iranians said the same thing.
That was just a campaign promise. Joe Biden didn't really mean that shit.
We're now 4 months into the administration. Nothing has happened. Both sides said there seems to be something of a standoff. And Iran is meanwhile busily enriching, the very thing people like you warned about when Joe Biden was campaigning. Isn't this a failure of diplomacy? Shouldn't you guys have been able to get back into the deal within a week or two?
Hell yeah, it's a failure, but they won't admit it.
We've had, I think, 5 rounds of conversations now, of talks now, indirect, in Vienna. And in fact, our team's going back to Vienna in the coming days to pursue that. I think we've actually made progress.
Iran said your process done took a recess.
The outstanding question, the question that we don't have an answer to yet, is whether Iran, at the end of the day, is willing to do what is necessary to come back into compliance with the agreement. That's the proposition that we're testing. But it's getting, I think, through these rounds of discussions and talks, clearer and clearer what needs to happen. The question is Iran prepared to do it?
Iran said, yeah, but are you prepared to pay us?
Well, the Iranians say that that's actually not what's happening. With the United States, the Biden administration has moved the goalposts.
The Biden administration done been through more field goal posts than a New England Patriots field goal kicker.
That rather than talking about simply both sides getting back to the original deal, doing what was required to comply, the Biden administration is now saying they want to talk about ballistic missiles, they want to talk about regional issues, they want to talk about extending the timeline.
And Iran want to talk about y'all paying them. And Iran want to talk about y'all paying them.
Are you willing to go back to the original deal as it was? Because the Iranians say they are willing to get back to that tomorrow.
Fareed, we've been very clear. We are fully prepared to go back to the original deal as it was.
We'll come up with $5 billion so we can buy some more rockets. Next!
And Golan Heights was a big deal.
The Democrats gonna sweep that under the rug.
We suddenly have lots of visitors coming here from all different parts of the country. Most recently it was a couple from Tel Aviv and a family from Jerusalem here. It's because the settlement is going to be named after Trump.
Hopefully the liberals don't go there and burn it down in protest. Trump got land in the Middle East, and Joe Biden got land next to a playground. And that wasn't an executive order for Americans to lose their job either. Well, if Donald Trump your friend, that means the Democrats must hate you.
Everyone, for 52 years they were trying to get Golan Heights. I got it done.
Like you got most of the things you promised done.
Okay, that President Trump there with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, a historic day at the White House as the president signs an official proclamation recognizing Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights, what the Prime Minister has called
a blessing from Allah.
The new neighborhood named after Trump will be built next to the old settlement. It will be based on old plans that were never realized.
Until Trump realized them and made it happen.
Trump's controversial decision was criticized by the international community, which considers the Golan Heights to be occupied territory.
Oh, it's occupied now because it's Trump land.
Here, Israelis were thrilled by Trump's decision. They hope the new place will lead to new infrastructure and investment.
And that's what Donald Trump is known for.
It is very exciting because no new settlements have been built on the Golan Heights for 30 years. It's unbelievable. A lot of young families with kids are already waiting to come and live here.
No wonder why the Middle East loved Donald Trump.
I don't say this out of ego, but I was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize.
And I don't say this out of shame, but I will never win Father of the Year.
Now, I have to tell you, that's sort of a big thing. And the networks and most of the news didn't cover it. Could you imagine? When Obama came to office, they said, we're going to give him the Nobel Peace Prize. He actually said, what did I do? I didn't do anything. He didn't do anything for 8 years, frankly.
Barack Obama was the first Nobel Peace Prize to win this Peace Prize on hope, because they was hoping he was going to do some shit. And who nominated him anyway? The transgender community.
But he said, what did I do? They gave it to him in a matter of weeks, right? Weeks. And with us, we've done so much. We have done so much on so many different fronts. Remember North Korea? Remember they were going to be at war with North Korea? Where's the war?
But it could be coming.